As Victor schemes against Adam, Sally frantically tries to hide the evidence. Drama about the young and agitated. Here's what's happening on The Young and the Restless today. Tucker and Ashley fire another round. Nate uncovers the truth about Audra, and Phyllis and Jeremy see Deanne. Sally declines Nick's offer of a drink before dinner at Society, saying she has a meeting with Jill the following day. Nick is trying to pry her mind away from work. Sally thanks him for reaching out to her, and the two of them shake hands. She would rather spend the night with him than anyone else. Adam is standing in the doorway, watching them, and Nick's expression prompts her to look in that direction. Sally tells Nick that for the most part, the exchange between Adam and he was surprisingly non-confrontational. Adam then heads to the bar. Nick decides to leave the restaurant when she begins babbling about the food. Sally says they can't always hide whenever Adam is around. Ignore his presence, you guys. Nick takes out a menu, and Sally gives Adam a sidelong glance. Kyle tells Diane at Crimson Lights that he had to persuade Summer that taking Harrison to Paris wasn't necessary. He wants to know if his mother has heard from his father. According to Diane, Jack will be arriving at the Chicago apartment shared by Victor and Nikki any minute now in order to steal the necklace. Kyle is anxious about taking that chance. In this case, Diane is the one who calms him down. Kyle presses her on whether or not she believes Stark will accept all of this. Diane assures him that their mom hasn't lost her fishing skills yet. Soon she'll be in his company. Kyle observes that she gives off the impression of being wired or having a great time. Diane says she used to enjoy the excitement of competitive situations, but that's no longer the case. All of this is an effort to silence Jeremy. They arrange to meet for drinks, and she rushes off despite Kyle's warnings. The top 10 people in Yellowstone. When Audra answers the door to her suite, Tucker asks if she really thinks she can just avoid him after everything that's happened. "Let's hurry up and finish this," says Audra. Tucker tells her that she has completely ruined things between him and Devon. "Sorry, Audra, but you've let me down. I won't forget it either." "Is that a threat?" Audra ponders. He claims he made a promise and means to keep it. "You had one job," he yells. Audra explains to Tucker that an alert on Devon's phone led him to the solution. That raised eyebrows because of his odd behavior ever since he landed his helicopter in town. She gives him a lecture about how he should have been more honest with his family and how his son outsmarted him this time because of it. Tucker says his grandson has cut off all contact with him and won't answer his phone calls. More important to him than any business venture is the relationship he's built. "I was hoping to establish a foundation with him." As for Ashley, he desired the same thing. The way Audra sees it, things are going downhill there as well. She tells Tucker that she is just as done with him as he is with her, and that she will not beg for his forgiveness. Nate arrives at the door right at that moment. "Is there a problem here?" he asks upon spotting Tucker. Tucker excuses himself, saying he has to go. Nate surprises Audra by telling her, "I had no idea you knew Tucker McCall. To what have I accidentally stumbled upon?" To hear Audra tell it, she feels terrible that he witnessed any of it. Nate is curious about her relationship to Devon's dad and wants an explanation. Nate, Audra says, deserves honesty. "Tucker has come to reprimand me. I was obviously to blame for the failure of our plan." Nate inquires as to the nature of such a scheme. It was then that Audra revealed she was supposed to help him take over Chancellor Winters. At Crimson Lights, Kyle answers an unexpected call with "when" and "where," and "sounds good. In a short while, we'll meet again." He loses connection and then notices Tucker. Since his relationships with Ashley and Devon have tanked, he advises that he leave town. He must have been completely out of his mind to believe he could take control of his company or his aunt. While Tucker is overjoyed, he isn't ready to give up on Ashley just yet. Leaving for Paris tonight makes Kyle grin. Sally approaches Nick at Society, hoping to glean advice on how to win over Jill. Nick cautions her against trying to impress him with false claims of knowledge or experience. To be herself, he says, is all that matters. While Sally and Adam share a knowing glance, Nick receives a text from the nanny. Nick continues gushing about Jill to Sally, praising her as brilliant, generous, and incredibly hot. Sally has an unexpected urge to be alone with him and concludes that they should go on the date. When Diane and Jeremy finally meet up at Noah's club, he immediately orders her a drink. He wants specifics about how things are progressing with their project. Unnoticed, Phyllis walks in and hides behind a chair as she watches Diane place her hand on Stark's knee. He points out to Diane that tomorrow is the deadline for delivering the merchandise. Diane reassures him that everything is under control. Diane threatens to surprise him with a priceless, cherished, and allegedly stolen piece of jewelry tomorrow when she visits him in Chicago. After finding out she's robbing Nikki Newman, Stark is shocked. Diane clarifies that it's her way of getting even. Phyllis takes a picture from behind them. At the same time that Nick and Sally are leaving society, Kyle shows up. He then proceeds to Adam at the bar after greeting them. He needles him about Sally choosing the superior brother. Adam doubts Summer shares his enthusiasm. Kyle was merely remarking on something. As Victor enters, Kyle says it was great to get your call. Adam is curious about the meeting's purpose. Adam has forgotten they do this, but according to Victor, they are catching up as a family. When Tucker gets to the Abbott residence, Ashley is in the midst of moving boxes. She tells him he's wasting his time coming there. He knows he's the last person she wants to see, but he's begging her to hear him out. "Would you mind hearing me out for a second?" He is told by Ashley to hurry up and finish. Tucker claims he made a bunch of mistakes and played poorly, but know this: I did it all and thought it all in the hopes of making something truly special for you. Ashley didn't hear an apology. To apologize for his actions, Tucker tells his victim, "I regret having caused you pain. It was the last thing that I wanted." He insists this isn't spin. He had no intention of taking Jabad away from her loved ones. Tucker just wanted to provide the means for her to be the star. Ashley interrupts, "You decided what was best for my life." Tucker is aware of her enthusiasm for it. The words, "I know you," Ashley furious, he exclaims, "There's more going on than you care to admit between us." Their chemistry, in his opinion, can't be manufactured. His emotions are genuine and deep. They should do whatever it takes to get out of this mess that they dug themselves into. "Will you stay? Please? Give us a chance." Nate inquires of Audra in her suite as to when she and Tucker first became allies. She elaborates on their extensive history together. There was an intimate and professional link between the two of them. He intended to use her to gain Chancellor Winter's favor, but Devon saw through the ruse. When Nate confronted her, she admitted she had lied about her employment status. Audra hoped he wouldn't find out the truth until she had already proven herself as COO. Nate muses about her taking advantage of the distance between him and his cousin. Audra simply wished to demonstrate her value. "At my cost," Nate retorts. Without having all the information, he hired her, which doesn't look good for him. Audra is thrilled to finally be done with Tucker, and is sure they can achieve great things together. She will understand if he decides to withdraw the job offer given the current state of affairs. At Crimson Lights, Phyllis and Nikki learn that, contrary to widespread belief, Diane has returned. Nikki caught on. Phyllis claims to have caught the couple in the act, with Jack enthusiastically joining in. Nikki thinks he'll come to regret it. The way Phyllis sees it, Diane is totally playing him. "I just caught sight of her with Jeremy Stark," clearly not completely shaken by his presence. Stark tells Diane at Glam Club that he'll be blown away if she comes through. It's unlikely that she could pull off a heist of this magnitude without help. Specifically, he is interested in hearing her strategy. Nate remembers that when he told Audra the truth in her suite, she barely reacted. Maybe she felt better with all eyes on him instead of herself. Audra admits it came as a jolt. According to Nate's internal monologue, Tucker realized he had some competition. Even Audra admits that it would have been a major disadvantage for him. Everybody acknowledges that if you don't play to win, you already have. Nate maintains his offer to make her COO for this very reason. While visiting the Abbotts, Ashley says she felt feelings for Tucker once more. When it actually occurred, she was shocked. She sensed a pull, and her gut told her repeatedly not to trust him, and it was correct. "It's impossible," she says. "He was a bad choice for a partner the first time, and he hasn't improved since then. All he had to do was be straight with her, and he chose not to. She is desperate to leave the country and never see him again." In order to ease Kyle into the real reason he called him, Victor engages in some small talk with him at society. Kyle thinks his mom may be the subject. The matter at hand, Victor assures him, is of greater significance. When asked, "How is Adam's performance at Jabot?" After returning to Sally's suite, Nick takes off his coat, scarf, and suit jacket while she does the same. They begin kissing as she undoes his tie. While Nick is stroking her neck, she notices the prenatal vitamins on the table and begins to panic. Tucker, back at the Abbott residence, inquires as to the duration of Ashley's absence. She argues that it is none of his concern. In a moment, Tucker will have her in his thoughts. When he refuses, she tells him to leave. Now, she then closes the door after Tucker has left the house. Deanne warns Jeremy at Glam Club not to underestimate her by bringing up the fact that she was Mrs. Victor Newman on 2 separate occasions. When she is like this, Stark is captivated by her and almost convinces himself that he can trust her. Diane promises that he will be sold by tomorrow. Deanne is playing Jack while she and Jeremy are in cahoots, and Phyllis and Nikki have been snarking about it at Crimson Lights. When Nikki responds, "What are we going to do?" Phyllis reveals that Ashley is leaving for a few weeks. "We need to get rid of Deanne, but how?" Sally tells Nick to take a shower in her suite and that she'll follow suit in a moment. When he's alone, she quickly puts away the pregnancy vitamins. Kyle reports to Victor at Society that Adam is holding his own at Jabot. From what Victor can tell, Kyle isn't thrilled with the idea of Victor joining the company. Neither one of them is. In that case, why don't we do something about it?